So hey everyone, welcome to our webinar. I'm Will Robertson, Product Marketing Manager at Dotdigital, and I'm delighted to be your host for this webinar, focusing on how to win at TikTok marketing. We've got two fantastic speakers today, Ben Muir, CEO at Unsociable, and Sanya Ahmed, Senior Partnerships Manager at TikTok. They've worked with hundreds of brands from across the world, and we're excited to have them here sharing their expertise on how to make the most of TikTok. As this is such a hot topic, it's awesome that there are hundreds of you tuning in today. So welcome to all our existing Dotdigital customers and to those of you who don't know us so well. And for those of you who aren't too familiar with us, I'd just like to take the opportunity to formally introduce Dotdigital to you. Now, Dotdigital is an all-in-one customer experience and data platform that empowers marketing teams to exceed customer expectations with highly personalized cross-channel journeys. With Dotdigital, marketers can seamlessly unify, enrich, and segment customer data. By breaking down data silos, Dotdigital streamlines decision-making and paves the way for marketing creativity that delivers customer engagement at scale. We also incorporate powerful AI capabilities, making it easy to automate deeply personalized experiences across web, email, social, SMS, WhatsApp, chat, push, ads, and more. And we're proud to be trusted by over 4,000 brands from across the globe. We're always adding to our platform capabilities throughout the year to bring new opportunities to our customers, which leads us on the way to our new TikTok integration. Now, with over 1 billion users worldwide, it's the perfect platform to reconnect with customers and boost sales. Our TikTok leads integration lets you transfer valuable leads automatically to Dotdigital, making it easier to convert leads from your ads. And our TikTok audiences integration means that you can easily create an audience of engaged customers in Dotdigital and push this into TikTok to retarget, making your targeting even more effective. We hope you enjoy this session and learn how to maximize your TikTok ad spend. So let's jump into the world of TikTok. Ben and Sanya, over to you.
Hey guys, I just want to say thank you very much to Dotdigital for having us on today. I'd just like to give you all a bit of context to how I got into TikTok personally and how Unsociable became what it is today. So we used to be a content marketing business who made probably more long form stylized type content on Instagram and YouTube and other social platforms. We worked with some like Y-list celebrities in the States, ran some celebrities here, social media, and just a bit of everything, but we never really had something to sink our teeth into. And I was always just looking for that thing that spark that really inspired me and something that we could take and make our own. And I'm always late to trends. So I didn't download TikTok until it was out in the UK for probably about two years, even though I was in the social media marketing space. But my team were like, Ben, you need to download this app. It's crazy. It will blow your mind. It's unlike anything we've ever tried before. So 2 years late to the party, I eventually caved and downloaded the app. Within 5 minutes, it knew which football team I supported. I won't say in case it's controversial. It knew that I love Mexican food, and it knew all this crazy stuff about me in such a short space of time that I was like, I've never seen anything like this before from all of the other algorithms. I've never seen anything that gets to know me this well and also entertains me as much of this, because I think you all know the experience when you go on Facebook and you go on Instagram and you see the same stuff over and over again from the same people. They've changed the algorithms quite a bit the past year or two because of the TikTokification of everything, which I'm sure we'll mention again later. But it just really presented this different way of consuming content that's more about entertainment than the social aspect, but still very much retains the ethos of what social media is. So I got really excited about this thing, and I said to the team, I was like, we need to work this out. We need to make content for TikTok because it's different than all the other platforms. TikTok as a platform just works differently. The user base expects different material than it does elsewhere. So we began to experiment, and as our first guinea pig, we chose the Unsociable brand. So we started making content for that, and we thought, if we can work this out for ourselves, then we can sell it as a service to customers. So that's what we started to do. We started to experiment with Unsociable, and we spent months with nothing really working, like the odd spike getting a few thousand views on a video. And then one day something just blew up, and it was this skit style comedy video that we used to try, where I played a caricature of myself called Grumpy Scottish Boss, and I have no idea to this day properly why it blew up, but it did. And that became a big thing. I ended up getting recognized in the streets, and more and more people were seeing our TikTok content, and then we began to get people asking us could you do the same thing for us? So we started doing that. making content for lots of different brands and businesses. And then last January, someone from the TikTok shop team actually saw the unsociable content and asked, "Are you guys making content for brands?" We said, "Yeah, we're making content for brands. We're running ads for brands on TikTok." And they said, "Well, have you heard about TikTok shop?" And I said, "I've seen it. I've definitely seen it, but I don't really know what it entails." They asked us to come down to TikTok HQ, and I was so intimidated by the whole thing because it's this big company to me, and I'm just from like a small town outside Glasgow, and I just felt like, oh, I don't belong here. But the more I started to understand the ecosystem, I was like, okay, we can really do something with this. So that's what we started to do. We started to really learn TikTok Shop and advance our content marketing skills and just understand the nuances of the platform to offer it as a service to the customers. And now I can say we're one of the top rated partners in the UK. We just recently launched in the US as well. We work with some of the biggest consumer brands in the world, and we're growing from strength to strength, building up a business who can help merchants take on TikTok from a content perspective and from a shop perspective and really succeed on the platform. So that's just a bit of an overview. And today we're going to run through, it's going to be through the lens of TikTok Shop because that's where me and Sanya's strongest expertise is. But we have knowledge from across the platform. So hopefully all of the stuff that we share with you today should be helpful for everything that you're trying to do with TikTok and deciding, do I go on shop? Do I build an audience on D2C? Do I focus more on my organic strategy? We're going to cover a lot of those types of things, and then there's a space for a Q&A at the end, and I believe we've had some questions submitted to Will. So that's my bit. Sanya, if you want to give yourself a bit of an intro as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Hi guys, I'm Sanya. I'm a partnerships manager at TikTok Shop, and I live and breathe TikTok essentially now. What my team does is looks after agencies like Unsociable, and kind of helps them upskill and also cater to brands on TikTok Shop and grow on Shop and any other organic channels that they want assistance on TikTok essentially. So today we would take you guys through, like Ben mentioned, TikTok Shop, what are its elements, what sets it apart essentially in the industry, social commerce, and how wide the market space is, and essentially how you guys can set up and jump on board the TikTok Shop train.
Obviously, our expertise is in TikTok Shop, but a lot of the things that we teach you through this, they'll be applicable for all areas of the platform. And we're an interesting intersection of social and e-commerce that we haven't really seen before because what other platforms have had available isn't quite the same as what TikTok are doing. So a lot of you hear about like Instagram Shop and you hear about Facebook Shop, YouTube Shopping's just launched, it's in testing right now. But none of them really have this kind of integrated solution where you can pretty much do whatever you want from TikTok. So I think one thing we like to do when we talk is just to challenge your expectations a little bit on what TikTok actually is, because a lot of people think that it's just a dancing app for kids, even to this day. Like they think it's just Gen Z on the platform. That's not the case at all. I actually, anecdotally, I remember my grandmother told me last year that just before she went on holiday, the algorithm somehow worked out she was going on holiday. So she was just getting hit with ads for like all different stuff for holiday, and she ended up spending over 100 quid before she went away. And she's 70 years old, so it's definitely not just kids that are on TikTok that are buying on TikTok. And actually, some of the best creators on the platform are of the older generation as well. Yeah, over 1 billion users. I think Will mentioned this at the start. The user base is huge, and when you consider the platform's banned in India and Pakistan, which takes up a lot of the world's population, then you can see just how many people are actually using it. And the big difference between TikTok and other platforms is the purchase rate. So more and more people are being inclined to purchase on the platform. So yeah, as you can see here, just to kind of some numbers to visualize the scale of the platform. #1 in global downloads, and #1 for annual growth rate of monthly active users. So like we said, it's probably getting to the point of maturity pretty soon, but at this point in time, it's still growing rapidly. And it's the older demographics that are starting to take it on as well. 150 countries worldwide and 75 languages. So the scale of the platform globally. This is quite a scary stat. I think. And funnily enough, I've got an even scarier one, so bear with me. But the amount of time that people spend on the app is insane. As you can see here, 128 minutes with the app open a day, 9.3 minutes per session. So you can see that it's kind of split throughout the day. People are like checking in. It's like go-to, it's habitual. And it is for many people now, it's the entertainment platform of choice above TV, above Netflix for many as well. And a couple of anecdotes that kind of will show you just how powerful this platform is at holding the user base. So we run live streams on the platform for a lot of big merchants. And quite often you'll see, so our average live streams can be 3 hours, but we've run live streams that are 4 hours, 10 hours. The longest one we ever did was 24 hours. And on that 24-hour live stream, we actually had users that joined us from start to finish throughout the entire live who stayed on, which is just insane that you can hold attention for that long. And then the other anecdote I have about usage time, we last year we did like a straw poll in the office where we got everyone to share their TikTok screen time. Now bear in mind that we obviously work on TikTok, so there is like a bit of extra usage, but I spend a lot of time on TikTok every day looking at stuff, and my screen time is about 90 minutes. And one of the team in the office, the screen time that they had was 6 hours and 28 minutes on average a day. So it's staggering how much it can actually grip you. So we want to talk a bit about the commerce element on TikTok. So they've built a marketplace inside the app, similar to what you see on like Amazon Seller Central, if you've ever used that before, or even like the back end of your e-commerce sites. TikTok Shop structured that way, so you can upload products to the platform, and you can run ads, and there's a few different ways to sell on that, which Sanya's going to talk about also. But the core difference between TikTok Shop and any of the other social platform shops is the fact that it's built into the platform. Some stats for you guys. Global social commerce sales are expected to reach 6.2 trillion by 2030. This stat changes quite a lot actually, and I think it seems to grow every time I see it. So I don't think anyone's quite worked out how big it's going to get to, but it's growing exponentially. Users are choosing to buy through social platforms, either directly as in TikTok Shop, so it all happens through the one checkout process, or seeing content and then converting on D2C sites. But more and more and more, that activity is all happening on social commerce. And the reason that is the case is because that's where the attention is. So people want to be inspired to buy. They don't want told what to buy. They go on these platforms to enjoy things, to have a good time, to learn new things, to discover new things. And because of that reason, they also discover new things that they want to buy on the platform. And I think that that's probably fundamentally the main reason why you're seeing this exponential growth compared to the growth rate of e-commerce as a whole. I actually love that phrase, community commerce, because this is exactly what TikTok Shop is in essence. It's empowered people to be able to sell to their peers. I read this book when I was at university that it totally blew my mind at the time. It's called Cognitive Surplus by a guy called Clay Shirky. If anyone wants to check it out, it's probably really out of date now. But what I loved about it was, but he was talking about how there was this new generation of YouTube creators coming on board to essentially use the creative load that they had in their brain that they weren't able to outlet, because there's only, before like technology allowed for us to do the things that we can do today, there was only so much you could do with like your creative energy. But now the tools that we have at our disposal, like the ability to create video content so easily, to edit video content so easily in our hands, and almost anyone can do it. I can even do it, and I'm terrible at stuff like that. Is amazing. Then it's allowed for this massive community commerce opportunity where people can make their own content, sell through their content, and make money through that content. I think that's where community commerce comes from, and people can make genuine recommendations on what they actually want to share with their peers. And that's why it presents such a big opportunity. 16 billion for retail brands in the UK by 2028. That's massive. 93% of TikTok users engage in shopping related activities while using the platform. I find that stat particularly staggering, that almost all people that go on the platform are convinced to buy. And why wouldn't they be? It's the same as like any traditional marketing tactics. If you are seeing the same messages over and over again, and you're seeing things that interest you and engage you, why wouldn't you buy the things that you want to? And I think that this is a really important stat as well because it's about discovery, which is so fundamental to the platform and success of it. 88% of TikTok users have discovered brands they're interested in purchasing, the highest of any platform. So if you are a brand or you work for a merchant at the moment, then you'll see the power that TikTok has for you to get new customers. And at the end of the day, I think that TikTok Shop in particular, but TikTok on the whole, it's all about acquisition, because there's so many eyeballs on the platform. The people are in that kind of active discovery, like engaged mode. So if you can inspire them in some way, then you're likely to convert them to a customer. Yeah, I think that this is so powerful when you look at this. I don't know where they did this survey, but I see this every day. People do genuinely trust TikTok videos way more than they do everywhere else. I think that they don't connect it to being marketed to because it's a real person and the content looks real. It doesn't look staged. It's not overly polished or produced like you get on other social platforms. It's so native to what someone's mind has conjured up. I think that's where the trust comes because people do things, they try things, or even they just literally take their phone out and they say things that they like. And it's an honest opinion and it comes across that way. The hashtag phenomenon. So if you've been in Boots or Sainsbury's or any big retailers throughout this year or the year before, you've probably seen this hashtag on some display marketing because it's such a powerful hashtag in 2024 and it will continue to be. People connect TikTok with things that they want. People discover things on TikTok and they tell their friends that's where I seen it. And then they can buy it other places. They might buy it on D2C, they might buy it in retail. But TikTok can very often be that first discovery point. And I don't think we have enough data yet to know for sure exactly the impact that everything like this has. But if you think about the stat in e-commerce that half of customer journeys online start on Amazon, I'm not sure if that's still the case, right? But it was a stat a couple of years back. I think we're starting to see that on TikTok, that like the discovery point for a lot of brands and products is things that come under this hashtag. And if you think about the scale of views here, like you see the stats on the right-hand side, 90 billion views on that hashtag, 6.7 million videos created, like that's an unfathomable amount of content. And then 3 in 4 users likely to buy from a brand that they've seen on the platform. So they spill over to D2C from doing TikTok shop activity, the spill over to retail and everything else can be tremendous. And last slide that I'm going to talk about, and then I'll let Sanya come in and do her thing. The 3 C's. So this is the way that TikTok views it, and I think it's a really good summary of the ecosystem overall. So we hear a lot about this word in e-commerce in 2024, which is community, communities. But I think it's so important. I think that people care about the products that they buy more often now. They care about the reasons that they're buying it, and they're looking for genuine connections before they make a purchase. Not always. Sometimes you just see something and you want it. But a lot of the time, if you can create that sense of community around the brand, and I think a lot of the leading brands in 2024 are, not just the creator ones, but brands in general, then you will start to build a sense of community around your brand, which is so important to success on TikTok. Creators is probably number one determining factor on whether you're going viral or not, because there's only so much attention you can get from your own brand handle. So whether it's TikTok shop affiliates or whether it's influencers, content creators, whatever you want to call them, you want to be working with these people, you want to be feeding them ideas, you want to be sending them products, you want to be engaging with them, you want to be building communities around them because they're going to be your number one advocate and they're much more likely to go viral than you are. And then the last part is content. So TikTok's like this content addict. It needs content to function. So the more content that you can feed it from your own brand handle, from the creator content going through, the more likely you are to see something that works. Because I think that a lot of people have viewed social platforms in general for a long time as like, okay, we need to be ultra strategic about how we do this and like think it through. And yes, I totally agree with that. Some of the strategies that we've worked on over the years have taken us a long time and a lot of thought, and they have paid the price. But if you're just starting out with TikTok, you want to learn the platform, you want to understand how it works from an organic standpoint or an influencer standpoint, you got to play loose. Like that is the best advice I could ever give you. It's just be loose. Don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid to be a bit silly and have fun with it. Those are the things that perform really well on the platform. And like I said at the start, when I was telling you about my backstory, the first time we ever went viral, it was not orchestrated. It was a complete accident. And I didn't even mean to be grumpy that day. I was genuinely just in a bit of a bad mood, and it became a thing, and I became a grumpy character on TikTok. So if I can do it and I can go viral, then genuinely all of you smart marketers that are on here, then you definitely can as well. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on my part. I'll hand you over to Sanya.
Thanks, Ben. So we've heard about how big the social commerce space is, and how fast it's growing. This is where TikTok Shop enters. It's at the forefront of the social commerce space. It's essentially an e-commerce solution which is fully integrated in TikTok. It's a closed loop platform. It's essentially empowering our customers to discover and find products and get inspired and then advocate those products. So every time you've seen maybe an organic video and you want to figure out where those pants are from and you're aimlessly roaming around in the comments trying to be like, where's the link? Where's the link? We found a solution for it so you can buy it instantly without wasting and kind of breaking the consumer journey. So like I said, you can convert our million of daily users. It's 1 billion global average users on TikTok. And kind of convert them with the fully personalized journey that we've built out and then create engaging content for them, similar to your brand's image and community that you want to set apart, allowing them to engage on a more deeper level with the brand itself. So essentially what the journey looks like from your For You page to checkout, it's very simple. It's 4 taps. You will be browsing the shoppable content through videos or live stream. You can see the tiny emblem Puma over there in yellow. You click on it, you select the size, you check out, see the PDP, you place your order without leaving the app, and you share the excitement about the products. And TikTok made me buy it essentially. So it's very simple. You do not get distracted from the consumer journey. It's very addictive. Because I've been on many aimless scrolling times and just ended up buying things, a wig, even though I don't need it, just because, they sold it so well. So essentially, what does TikTok Shop mean for you? Incremental sales is one of the biggest plus points. Often brands would be like, why would we want to sell on TikTok Shop if, we're just diverting sales from our own website? But TikTok Shop is more like a new storefront for you. It's an additional sales channel because you're tapping into a demographic that you might not have been tapping into to begin with. Maybe you're a brand that was usually services between 35 to 45, but on the platform you've tapped into 25 to 35. So you're getting sales from a demographic that you would not have reached into to begin with, essentially. You're getting those new audiences, building deeper connections. And obviously, when you join TikTok Shop, you have a suite of growth resources to join from, right? A network of thousands of creators. We have our own creator marketplace. We have our logistical solutions fulfilled by TikTok that you can rely on. And also TikTok Shop partners like Unsociable, who you can kind of outsource the TikTok Shop and business part to take away the heavy lifting if you think you don't have the resources to manage shop. I guess moving forward is how do we set up? It's very simple. You register via Seller Center. Seller Center is the back end of TikTok Shop. You can just sign up, make a TikTok account with a number, email, and then in order to integrate and streamline operations, there are multiple ISV partners that we have, Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce. You can also do the manual upload if that's the way you want to go. It's very simple. You upload your catalog. Once you're done with the catalog upload and the entire shop setup, you can connect with creators online using our creator marketplace, reach out to them, and offer your products and commissions if you want to add that, and then basically start making your own shoppable content. Also have your affiliate strategy going on at the same time, participate in platform campaigns like Black Friday right now, and essentially share and shout out about your promotions. And then obviously ads is a great way to amplify all of that success once you've built in your infrastructure. But that's it from my end on all things TikTok Shop.
Nice. Thank you so much, Ben and Sanya. That was really insightful. And I can certainly say I've learned a lot about TikTok today. We have had loads of questions from registrants ahead of this call. So I am going to just dive in and ask a few of those. I'll keep it open to the floor so either one of you can answer the question. But yeah, the first one is, what brands would you both say are doing TikTok the best? And who would you recommend people to go to check out for inspiration?
I think we've probably both got examples from different areas. I think there's a lot of brands that are really nailing organic TikTok content that you can be inspired by. And then I can also help with that question by telling you a couple of brands, and hopefully they don't hate me, that are really not nailing TikTok content. So the successful brands are doing things that are very native to the platform. So they're making content that relates to the user base, that speaks their language. There's some big brands that have come up through this space and become kind of synonymous, iconic with the platform, like Duolingo, the app, and Scrub Daddy. Those are like powerhouses in the TikTok content space. But then there's some brands that are multinational corporations that are trying to run TikTok, and I've actually seen some of their ads as if it's like TV advertising campaigns. So Jaguar and BMW, if you ever see any of their TikTok ads, then and you know TikTok, then you'll be like, oh, someone here doesn't get this. And sorry if I've called out some individual marketer, but probably best the company knows about it. And then there's some in that space that totally get it. Like Lotus Cars have a really interesting strategy where they're not using like anything they would use on other media. They are very much creating TikTok native content, speaking to a Gen Z user base, and laying chips for when that user base has the spending power, they're going to buy Lotus Cars because they've connected with a brand right now who are speaking their language. So those are some really good examples on the content front. I'm sure Sanya's got some on the commercial side.
I think in terms of shop, what's important is to kind of go all in into TikTok. Because if you try to force it into another marketplace that it's not, it won't always 100% work. So Made by Mitchell is obviously a great case study, a very small business brand, now so big, sells in Selfridges. They've done the 1 million live. So they're obviously killing it with the TikTok game. So it's definitely worth reading on what they're doing. But in general, all the beauty brands, right? Give Me Cosmetics is doing great with Unsociable. I think Nature Spell is definitely a great one as well. How it again just leverage affiliate marketing alone to kind of drive that rosemary hair oil trend. And now it's so big, it's launched in the US, it's in Boots. So I think they're definitely a lot of examples. You can head over to the Seller Academy to read more case studies on successes, small businesses and big.
Thank you so much. Fantastic answer there. My next question, which Ben might be more targeted at you, but is TikTok a good channel for B2B marketing or those that don't currently have TikTok shop? And do you have any specific tips for B2B marketers?
Yeah, I think it's not for every brand, not for every B2B brand, but there's some really like weird and wonderful stuff on there. So we've deleted all our old content now, but back when I started, we were obviously a B2B service business. Almost all of our leads came from our TikTok account and us just blowing up and people being like, well, these guys get what they're doing, so why haven't they do it for us? I've seen doctors' offices, I've seen lawyers' offices. There's so many examples of like small businesses that you wouldn't expect to be able to winning on there. I've seen Microsoft have partnered with obviously they're a consumer brand as well, but just some like kind of out the box type stuff that lends itself well to the channel. It can be done, but it's just all about execution, right? It's all about strategy and execution. So if you take what you're doing on LinkedIn or your email marketing as a B2B business and try and apply it to TikTok, it's not going to work because that's not what people want to see. But if you can take an element of what you're doing, make it funny, make it creative, make it stand out in some way, and then apply that to the channel, then it can be really successful. You just need to get creative with it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. And we do have lots of marketers who their businesses are currently using TikTok, but also quite a number who aren't yet using it. So how would you just advise a business to get started with TikTok if they're not using it already?
Get started on TikTok, there's a few different ways. So I would be, depending on the category, depending on the brand, depending on resource, you might want to have a go at different elements and test it. But if you're a big brand and you're resourced, then I think that there's a ecosystem around TikTok as a platform that gives you lots of opportunities to try lots of different things. And if I was just starting out and let's say I was a growing e-commerce brand, under 10 million revenue or maybe just above that, and I'm trying to scale, I would be looking at my organic TikTok content strategy and how can I increase my awareness through that, because if you get it right, then you can really nail it. I'd also be looking at influencers and affiliates at the same time. So I'd be sending out samples to influencers to create noise, and then I'd be sending samples out to affiliates to generate revenue on TikTok Shop and also just create more virality around my brand in general. And then I'd be looking to bring a lot of the customers that I am getting through Shop and organic onto my website at the same time as well. So the way that I'd be doing that is by running paid advertising on the platform, building up audiences the same way I do on other social channels. The only difference is I'd be doing two things. I would be making content that's very native to TikTok and doesn't look like stuff that's maybe worked elsewhere. So things that are really overly polished probably aren't going to work. Those examples I gave you earlier of like Jaguar. So what I seen them do was they literally took a TV ad, they framed it and blacked out the top and bottom so that it was just like the same angle as you would see on TV, the same like ratio. And like I just know almost every TikTok user is scrolling right past that because it doesn't fit natively into the scroll. So I'd be creating ad creative that fits natively into that, and then I'd be bringing that onto my website to convert them there as well. So I would be looking at all those different elements if I had the resources and time, and that's where I'd get started. But the fundamental thing there is just understanding how a TikTok user thinks and what they expect to see. You probably heard us say that like 5 times today because it's the most important thing.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And I'm sure this next question will resonate with a lot of marketers, but how can brands persuade stakeholders who are obsessed with the performance and leads that TikTok is a good idea?
First of all, I feel your pain, whoever asked that, because that's what I do on the daily is like convince people to try TikTok as a channel. I'm going to be doing it for a long time. I think that you need to view it very holistically, like whether you're looking at shop or whether you're looking at organic content. Quite often, because of lots of different reasons, like we could dive deep into like attribution and things like that, which is a messy area and a problem in general, but it's like how do you attribute the reach that you're getting from going viral to sales, which is what a lot of marketers, and I'm sure your boss, whoever asked that question, is coming down on you for. I think that is how you frame it. So it's like look at the impact that this must be having. There's no way we're getting this level of exposure at this scale and it not having an impact on the brand in other places. Like I've got a couple of examples. So we went viral with a brand on TikTok Shop this year in January, and they had 211 million views across their content, across their own brand content, their live streams, and the creator content that we did with them. From that, we know that they got a retail listing in Tesco because the buyer at Tesco saw them on TikTok. So I think that it's not always as measurable as performance marketers would like, but there's a tangible impact, and it's just about how you assess that. And I'm actually having this debate with a like massive company at the moment where they're getting good performance as well, but they're struggling to measure the halo impact of TikTok because they can't attribute, we had 70,000 viewers on a live that spent 90 seconds on a live. Like, what would you pay for that on a TV ad? To engage a user for 90 seconds, that's long form content at the end of the day. And if you can keep someone for that length of time, like the trust that you're building between consumer and brand is extremely powerful, but also extremely difficult to attribute. And I guess it's the age old question in marketing of like, we're doing all this stuff, how do we know what's converting into sales? And it's never an easy one to answer. And I think that because TikTok, even though it's such modern technology, it kind of plays in like the ancient marketing space where you're getting this like mass exposure like you would from a billboard, but you can't really like fully measure it in the same way you would like to, unless you're doing like performance driven advertising campaigns, of course.
Brilliant, fantastic answer. And you have talked a lot about TikTok lives. So how can brands make the most of using lives on TikTok?
Simon, you were at live last night. Surely you want to answer that one.
Well, how can they make the most out of lives? Well, it depends, right? Like, there's obviously sales is the main goal, but again, when you're pitching it to like senior level stakeholders who don't believe in lives, right? It comes back to the impressions point. So yesterday I was at a live, it was just 3 hours, but they've managed to get 100,000 views essentially, which alone like is amazing, right? For over 3 hours, and out of which 80% was new customers. So that just shares these stats on how you're tapping into that new demographic, right? So when it comes to lives and how you can use them is to build your community. I know I've used the word community so many times, but it all comes down to that, right? Because unless you don't build that trust and that faith with your users, the advocacy won't follow. And if that won't follow, it kind of builds a massive barrier between you and the brand, right? So when you do those really polished content, you don't relate that well. But lives gives you that opportunity to maybe, if you want to keep that brand image on your videos, lives allows you to kind of fill that gap in. And that's a very good moment, right? So you can focus, it doesn't always just have to be a selly live. It can also be a marketing piece. It can be how to style this outfit, how to do recipes with a certain supplement powder. It really depends the angle and the creativity that you're bringing in. So it's not just a sales channel, a QVC style where you just go buy now, buy now, buy now. It's also can have that creative element to it, but it's about finding that balance. And also your priorities, right? What is the goal for you guys? Is it a marketing piece or is it a revenue driving piece? Yeah.
And I'll just add to that, we've just started experimenting with it the past few months. But I think a powerful tool for marketers going forward who venture into live shopping is live shopping ads. So LSAs, they actually sit in the same place as the rest of your TikTok for Business account. So you can easily compare that against other performance channels, against other campaigns, against other awareness campaigns, and just like try and stack up how lives is sitting against the rest of your tactics. Because it's a really interesting one, and like Sanya said, I think an awesome opportunity to connect people to brands, and brands as people rather than keeping things kind of cold and corporate, which just isn't the way anymore.
Brilliant, thank you. We've just got time for a couple more questions. So the next one is, how can you make scientific or serious topics engaging on TikTok without being too cheesy?
That's a fun one, actually. I think there's lots of ways of doing it. I think following trends is a big one. So if you follow the trends on the platform, you can pretty much take anything and apply it to like a TikTok trend. And often the most viral videos that you see on the platform in any given day are like super relatable trends that someone's put their own silly spin on. Like, for example, there's a trend going around recently, which Sanya definitely saw, which was like letting the Gen Z write the marketing script. So like Curry's did it. There was like I seen the Road Dow Museum of all places done it. And I don't even think that one got that much views. I just saw it as content. But people taking stuff that would otherwise be like really serious, or people that would be serious, like the Road Dow Museum had the museum creator. It was a guy that was maybe like 50 plus years old, who you could tell he looked quite like straight laced, but he was talking like a Gen Z. So he was like, oh, this exhibit is lit and stuff like that. And it just became like this really relatable piece on TikTok that made something that otherwise people probably wouldn't care about on the platform, care about and engage with.
Fantastic. And just one last question from me, which is there an ideal frequency ideal frequency to post in order to grow an audience? And how quickly should brands see results when they do that on TikTok?
I'm probably going to contradict a little bit what I said earlier, but I'll try and explain it. So like I know I said go on there and like play loose and try and do things and experiment. I fully believe that, but I also do think that quality always beats quantity. So when I say play fast and loose, I don't mean like don't spend time to look things through. I just mean be adventurous to like try stuff. But think it through, because at the end of the day, you're still a brand. Like you still need to protect the brand image. You still need to think about things like that. So I'll give you some context to how much we post, and we have really successful organic strategies and paid strategies. We have three different packages we offer brands. One's 3 times a week, one's 4 times a week, and one's 5 to 6 times a week of posting. And we don't really commit to any more than that unless there's a special campaign on, because I know that my team needs, like if we tried to do more than that, we just wouldn't have enough good ideas. Like there's only so many that you can do at any given time. So unless you've got a massive team that's just all about experimentation and flooding it with content, like there is genuinely no such thing as too much. But in my experience, there is such a thing as finite amount of resource and good quality ideas. So you don't want to put out stuff just for the sake of it.
That's great advice, Ben. We are almost at the end of our time, but I would just like to give the opportunity for you both to discuss any points or share any other information that you have, if that you've not already discussed in this call, if you have any.
I would say setting expectations when it comes to TikTok Shop, because obviously you see these stats and you go, oh, 2 million in one live or 30K in one live. And then I often see brands come in with that mindset that, I'm going to do one live and make a lot, which is possible, obviously. But sometimes it's also you need to have that cadence and you need to do the testing and learning, like Ben mentioned, right? Like sometimes it can take a month, sometimes it can take a week, sometimes it can take 3 months. So when you're committing to going live, don't get disheartened within the first 2 lives or 2 weeks, right? Because you're trying different things to see what works for your brand. And you shouldn't view it as a waste of money. You should view it as more, you've tested and learned and got more data, right? Like at what time, what consumer base is joining, what demographic is joining, what's the age group that's joining. And then you can also leverage that to change your organic strategy, right? And target it according to that. Because if, lives are usually joined by like, it depends how many fans and non-fans, right? But you want to make sure you're making content that's relevant to them, which you can ask them directly in the lives as well. So managing expectations and not giving up instantly is what I would say.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think it's always good to manage everyone around its expectations and go in with an open mind when you're trying new platforms and new techniques within platforms as well. I've got like 2 things I'd love to leave on. So one is just like a quick tip. So I know we've said about you don't want to take your your old Instagram and YouTube content and your Facebook content or your LinkedIn content and bring that onto TikTok, because it probably won't work. That is the case, but the other way around can work quite well. So just a quick tip, like a lot of our brands. So the way that we work, we only do TikTok as a business. We don't do any other social media channels. But when we make content for brands, they own it and they quite often use it on other platforms and they get much better results than the creatives that they have there. And that's because of that thing I mentioned earlier, which is the TikTokification of everything. So it's this consumer demand for realness, and it spreads across platforms. So even though your static creatives and your TV ad type creatives and stuff seem to still work on Facebook, your TikTok style ad creatives perform very well from what I hear from others. So I would say if you're making stuff on TikTok, don't be afraid to take it on other platforms. And the point I wanted to leave on was, so we've got a few different values as a business, but one of them is unafraid, because I think that it just embodies what you need to be if you're going to take on this platform. You can't be afraid to be different, to think outside the box, to try new things, and to not stop innovating, because the people that are most successful in this space and that have really nailed it, from all the people we mentioned, so like Made by Metro P. Louise, to companies like Duolingo, Scrub Daddy, they all embody that. They aren't afraid to be different. They aren't afraid to try things. They aren't afraid to lose money here to make money there. And I think that if you're taking on this platform and you're using your Dotdigital integration to do it, then don't be afraid to try things.
Thank you so much. That's a really fantastic way to wrap up this webinar. So I would just like to thank Ben and Sanya once again. And to all viewers, if you are looking for support with your TikTok strategy, do reach out to Bennett and Sociable, and also do go and have a check out of TikTok shop if you're not using it already. So I just want to thank all Dotdigital customers for joining us today. To learn more about setting up our new TikTok integrations, do reach out to your customer success manager or let us know in the survey that pops up at the end of this webinar. And finally, to find out more about Dotdigital and how we can help you integrate with TikTok and other cross-channel marketing campaigns, do visit dotdigital.com and book a free demo with one of our team. Thank you so much for joining us and good luck with the rest of 2024.